How's it going, everyone? Today on the channel, we have a very special guest. How's it going? This is Kyle. How's it going?
Hey
Thanks for coming
guys.
on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome pleasure to chat with you, my friend. We've chatted a few times
Yes, we
over
have.
the last few months, so it's good to just kind of get out there and be on camera and talking about our business.
Yeah, so a little bit of an intro. I don't want to butcher it too much, so I might let you take it away after this. But basically,
Sure.
Kyle's been selling on Amazon. So is it just the US? Oh, I guess we can talk about more details if you're in other markets. But
Yeah, I'm in a bunch of markets, so
okay, been a bunch of markets, been selling for quite a few years, and he's doing a really good job. He's been pretty successful over there. He does a lot of other stuff as well. He's got an influencer masterclass. He's got an inner circle,
yeah.
which we can talk a little bit later as well. And yeah, so I met Kyle a couple of months ago, pretty much when I first started doing this whole thing. I think he reached out
Yeah.
to me and we had a chat, and he's been real cool, and he's helped me with some advice and things like that. So, and at the moment, we can talk about it. We'll talk about it a bit, but he's currently in the process of launching some of his products in Japan, which he is been doing well with in America. So yeah, so Kyle, if you want to take it a step further and give us a bit more details about your background, like when you started, maybe why you started, and things like that, getting into Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I kind of got into Amazon almost by accident, to be honest. I was a digital marketer in the past. That's my background: lead gen, paid traffic, all that fun stuff. And before then, I was an IT consultant. Then I ran sales for IT, and then I even did some taxes for a couple of years.
Taxes as well,
Or
eh?
I know I'm just I'm ADD. What can I say? I'm all over the place. But what got me interested in Amazon was definitely the opportunity. It's been uh, selling now for about 3.5 years, and it really was sort of this. I was at a party actually that I met my business partner. Actually, all of like the major kind of like life events have happened at parties. So, moral of the story: if you take anything away, go to more parties and talk to people and network. But in this case, we met, and he said, "Hey, I've started selling this product on Amazon that I kind of created." And I was like, that's really interesting. Tell
Yeah.
me more. Because in the last 6 months before then, I was actively involved in like really kind of diving into Amazon, but I hadn't launched yet. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do with that.
It's
And so
pretty cool when you meet someone that's doing the same thing, has already done it, right?
exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, well, this is serendipitous. So let's have the conversation. And so we did. And I knew him. He was a professor. He was a retired professor of mine. I had him. He was my debate coach
Yeah.
at the university. So we've known each other for years. And he said, here's what I'm doing. I was like, that's really interesting. I'd love to sit down and chat with you more. And so we did that. And then he's like, well, why don't I hire you as a consultant to help me with my marketing and do all that kind of stuff? Because that was something that he wasn't in his background. And I was like, yeah, cool. That sounds like fun. So I started with him and did about 30 some thousand, 36, 32,000 that first year. And then I started working with them and we did 192,000. And then we did like 420 ish. And then this last year we closed on right over six.
Cool.
And I think this next year we should be crossing that 8-figure mark pretty easily. So
8 figures, eh?
yeah,
Congratulations, man. So yes, it's been a
thanks.
pretty decent journey then.
It has. It's been a ride. It's been going like this, and so each step of the way, you kind of unlock more and more challenges in your business.
Yeah.
You think you have one thing figured out well, and then you hit the next level, and you're like, oh, this is a whole other host of issues that we have
Yeah.
to try and figure out. But it
Obviously, when you get to different levels, the what do you call it? The problems are completely different, right? I think at the end of the day. So
They do, yeah, yeah. Like what you did before, it doesn't get you to where you want to be. So you're consistently sort of
yeah,
putting out fires and sort of leveling up your skill set and operationally how you function.
yeah,
Gets more complex, but also gets smoother because you sort of figured out some of the
yeah.
pieces that you need to do. So
You got a bit more experience and
mhm.
can expect, you know what to expect a bit more and things like that, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we launched first in the US and had that up and running, and then we actually launched in Europe
Okay.
about a year and a half ago. And we have a UK company that we set up, and all our inventory is there, and we sell on Amazon UK, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, and that's been really good. That growth actually accounted for probably the bulk of our growth this last year was just European growth.
Oh, really? Oh,
Which is
okay,
really
cool.
cool. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, which is really really cool. And then I don't know, maybe about 6 months ago or so, maybe 6 to 8 months ago now, Amazon actually reached out to us directly, and we went out to lunch with the business development guy and we say, hey, yeah, we're like in Seattle, we're like 20 minutes away from downtown.
Yeah.
I was like, let's go eat lunch. And so we did, and it was a business development rep for Japan. And he reached out and we had these conversations that Amazon wanted us to launch our products in Japan. And based on their numbers, they said, we think you have a really good shot at growing in that marketplace.
So that must have been a pretty interesting meeting to have, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, Amazon in essence sort of did the same thing with us in Europe as well.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we sort of had this relationship. It was a different person, different department within their organization, but it was cool. And so they said, hey, we'll do all your listing translations, we'll get all your account all configured, set up properly, here's some list. So they were like holding our hand basically through the entire thing, and that was cool.
That's so for a lot of people watching, they probably think, okay, that's sweet. I'll just go that route, and I'll just contact Amazon and get them to help me set up and things like that. So, would you say it's that easy to be able to get hooked up with Amazon, or?
No, and because I asked them, and I was like, hey, well, if I have other sellers I know, can I refer them to you? And he politely said, no. He's like, we basically are run by our numbers. So if our numbers tell us that this particular SKU or ASIN is going to do well, we'll reach out to the sellers or the brand and help them walk them through the process. There isn't anything you apply for or anyone you email that, hey, I'd like to get this on. No, they do have offices of customer support and stuff like that for seller services in Japan that you can get help from.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting them to help you get your product launched and opening up lightning deals and all that kind of stuff in deal of the day, which they have access to do, is like that is basically they come knocking on your door. You don't really go knocking on theirs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, what was I going to say? So you're doing pretty decent numbers now. Approximately how many SKUs are you guys running?
We have say like 12 SKUs.
12 SKUs. Okay.
Yeah, and then we ended up do some like bundling of those same with like the primary SKUs, and then we'll bundle together multi-packs for size bundles, like 2-pack, 3-pack, the same SKU. So I think if you like to factor in all those, you're probably closer to like 25, 30. But really, it's like 3 SKUs across both brands that really move most of the volume.
Okay. So then the big question that most people ask me, or they ask a lot of people when they're selling on Amazon, is what do you actually sell? And then are we able to ask you that question today? And
yeah, for sure. I'm happy to share. So the reason why I'm happy to share is because one is that we have brand, so we're brand registered. So like you can't just go try and take my product and throw it up there because you'll get the smackdown.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident in where we're at as a brand in terms of we understand who our target audience is.
Yeah. And
I feel like if you're not quite comfortable in talking about your product, you don't really have a strong enough brand reason yet. And you need to work on your branding so that you feel confident in telling the world who you are.
Exactly, and that's where for a lot of you watching, that's where you want to be at the end of the day. But the majority, a lot of FBA sellers are a bit hesitant to let people know what they're selling, because that's exactly where they're at.
Right, they're just slinging product, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you are like wholesaling or just getting product on there to make some money, good job. Like you should be making some money, but you can't. That's not a long-term business model for you. Ultimately, it's about how do you develop your brand so that people will recognize you off of Amazon, and you become much more well known in your space. And it's been a cool ride for us, because one of our brands is Lita Art Supply, and it's basically sketchbooks, notebooks that are designed for artists. And it's cool because I saw like this. I have like Google Alert set up for my brands. And I got this notification like, here's the top sketchbook notebook.
Oh, really?
It's like a market analysis, and there's like big names like Moleskine, which is like $500 million company. and Canson and Strathmore and all these like little art things that you see in all the retail places. And you see this list of people, and then there's like our company.
Oh,
like,
nice, man.
like
Awesome.
in this list of like major sketchbook, notebook brands that are out there. I'm like, that's pretty cool, because we're basically like a 2-person shop outside of VAs and assistants and stuff that run this day to day. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then the other last year, my buddy texted me this blurry photo of I was like, is that a TV? It was a TV screen. And he's like, hey dude, is that your product? And I was like, yeah, that is my product. Where is that? He's like, dude, I just took a picture of my TV screen. It's paused. Your book is on a TV show, and I've been watching this TV show, and I was like, I recognized your logo and your brand. I'm like, dude, they're using it as a prop inside this TV show. It was like The Blacklist, which is on American TV. And yeah, he's like, yeah, it's right here. And it was like a prop in the episode. Like it got opened up like a couple times. And they like had like put coffee stains on the pages to make it look like, and they'd written all these like cryptic notes because it's supposed to be like a spy journal or something like that. Which is really, really funny. And it was connected to like this, I haven't really watched that TV show, but it was something about the Oleander Hotel where somebody died or something along those lines. So if you're a huge Blacklist fan, maybe you can fill me in. But the Oleander Hotel was inside the book. It was like a postcard from it. Well, funny enough, like we're going to come out with a new product, and we actually named it the Oleander because we're like, that sounds kind of fun. Let's just like roll it out. And so we're doing that as a tip of the hat to the Blacklist thing. That was pretty fun.
Free promotions on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it where it's at?
Yeah, I think so. I think initially it's like on NBC, the main television broadcast here, but I think they do have episodes of it on Netflix for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can check it out. It's I don't even remember the episode number. I could look it up. We were talking about it, but it was cool because fans and customers of ours would like message us on social media like, yeah, I saw your book on the Blacklist. It was so cool. I love it. So it was cool.
I get rewinding back a bit about to the whole branding, power of branding, things like that. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole because we could probably talk it for ages, but is there any kind of advice that you could give just kind of as a general rule of how people could help, more strengthen their branding and things like that? Like, I know that's a huge question, but.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few things to think about when it comes to your brand. Like, who is it that you really want to serve? How are you going to position yourself? Honestly, like the best thing you could do is my shameless plug. My business partner and I, we have a course on Udemy. You can go pick it up for like $10 or whatever like that. But it's called Branding for E-commerce.
Branding for E-commerce.
Yeah, I'll send you the link and you can post it in the show notes and have it available for people. But I would just go check that out. Like there's a ton of value in that. And I don't remember how many hours of training it is, but it really walks you through how you think about setting up your brand. And honestly, one of the best things I think you can do long-term for your Amazon business is to think about your brand and how you position. Because I think over time, and this is sort of what I've seen in the industry over the last few years, Amazon's going to give more and more weight to brand owners.
It seems that's where they're going. Like,
yeah, I think the days of a lot of like, the retail arbitrage and online arbitrage sellers just selling a lot of product, it's still available because it still does a lot of volume for them.
Yeah.
But I think over time, you're going to see a limiting of the access to the platform. And in fact, on Amazon.com, they rolled out something called brand analytics.
Okay.
And for brand owners like me, but what is really crazy about that is underneath the brand analytics, they expose like keyword data on Amazon.com of here's the top keywords.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, they rank order all of like the keywords, and then they show you who the top 3 products are for that keyword in terms of what those products get for click share for that keyword and also conversion for that keyword.
Yeah.
You can see the top 3 out of any sort of search term you want. And you can even break it down and go into like categories and all that kind of crazy stuff. But that's only available for brand owners and brand registered sellers.
All right. So there you go. So we'll put the link down below if you want to check out that the course on Udemy. And so I guess if we can go back, focus a bit more towards the Japan market now. So have you actually launched yet in Japan, or are you still in the process, or what's going on?
We're live. I wouldn't say we're like fully like launched, but we have product, it is available and it is selling. So the next step for us is definitely to start pushing the launch. And one of the things that we had talked about too was using influencers to do that. And so I literally was, before this, jumping on this call with you, texting my social media guy and having him start the push out and reach my Japanese influencer. We curated a list of about, I think it was like 60 or 70 Instagram. Yeah, like Instagram people. And there's a really cool
Japan,
service.
Right? Japan.
Yeah. It's basically people in our niche that were in Japan. And that was what we had for a list of it. And we got obviously their Instagram handles, but also in some cases their email address as well, or a couple of email addresses if there was two. And so now we're just going through the process of DMing them and sending them an email and asking if they wanted to participate. And what we'll probably end up doing is sort of create like a contest giveaway.
Yeah.
And then have them promote that contest. So, and then my goal is to have them all sort of promoting it at the same time. However many people are going to be willing to do that. Some of them will want you to pay for it. Some of them will be like, no, you have to, we'll do it for free book or whatever, or free product. I prefer to work with the people that are going to just take the free product and not want to get a free product and get paid. But sometimes depending on how they're set up or how big they are, how much influence they have, they kind of know their value and it might be worth it.
It'll be interesting to see how many go through with it. It'd be cool. Maybe you could like put an update in the Facebook group or something later on and see how your progress or something like that.
For sure. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And I'm even happy to share the resource that I use to sort of curate that list, because I think I paid like $20 for it or something like that.
Oh, that's all just. Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I had somebody it was a VA thing it was a Fiverr gig, and they just went and did it and produced it and gave me an Excel spreadsheet with everything. And it was
that doesn't sound. I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of people watching would be able to do the same thing. And hopefully.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. In fact, I'll also send you the link for we did a masterclass on influencer marketing. It was 100% free, just a Facebook group. You go in there. There's probably 10 hours of content where we did interviews. We did hot seat interviews with influencers and e-com sellers, and they talked about how to structure the deals, how to do that. We did all this training. Anybody in your group can have access to that for free. You just put them in there and they can kind of see, because there's a couple questions that come up when dealing with influencers. One, where do you find them?
Yeah.
Because that's a big deal. And then what do you pay them? Well, what are they worth? What do they want, or what should you ask them to do for you? Those are sort of the big questions, and we answer those in the Influencer Marketing Masterclass and kind of go into detail how that process works.
Yeah, I can personally, I've watched quite a few of them. I haven't watched all of them, I'll be honest, but I have watched quite a few of them, and the ones that I have watched are pretty awesome. So it's
good.
Yeah, because they're on Facebook, right?
They are, yeah. It's just a Facebook group that you're in, yeah.
And I would just keep running out of data on my phone when I was trying to watch them when I was on the train ride. That's why I had to stop. But the ones that I have watched were pretty awesome. So yeah.
Oh, good. We got to get you a better data plan.
Yeah. In Japan, we have awesome internet, but we still get limited with data over here sometimes. So
that's great.
And then, so how about, because obviously you're in the States, and for the people also outside of Japan that are thinking about selling in Japan, you don't have any Japanese language experience or anything like that?
No, I do not. No, so we sort of lucked into it a little bit with Amazon, as saying they did all our translations for our listing, but we still had customer support emails and stuff like that we needed to do. And what we ended up doing was we had some friends that actually live in Japan, and he and his whole family he has 5 kids or something ridiculous, and they all grew up in Japan, and they're fairly native speakers. And so we said, well, can we pay you guys to basically translate our support? But it was interesting because all the kids sort of got in on it. It was a group translation where they're oh no, I don't think that's the right translation. And so they kind of went back and forth, and we sort of got this support email that was done by these guys that are living in Japan. So that is there are definite resources. We have used a company called Intercultural Elements.
Intercultural Elements.
Yeah, in the past. I'm not 100% sure if they do Japanese translations or not. I know we use them for all of our European stuff, and they did
They
a
did your
good job.
translations?
Yeah, in all of Europe.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, but they seem to work really, really well for that. So they were a great resource. The other thing that's new, and I never heard of it, but I talked to my friends at Amazon. One of the things of living in Seattle is you pretty much know people who work at Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys, and in fact, we also teach. I teach online marketing as an adjunct professor at the university, and so
Okay.
I've had students now that have graduated from my classes that now work at Amazon, and so
Oh,
they're constantly like, "Hey, can I take you out to lunch? I want to chat with you." And I'm like, "Cool." So we'll talk with them, and then he'd be like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, you want to go do this and see this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, it's cool." So, but one of them was telling me about Amazon has a translation service. It's like an algorithm, a neural network learning thing, and it's ridiculously cheap. In fact, you can actually do some of it for free. It's like 2 million characters or something like that, or something like that for free.
yeah.
Where you can just post in content and it will do a translation. And what's crazy about this is that a lot of Amazon's translations now are actually done by this machine learning algorithm, and it does it at a pretty high level,
Yeah.
to the point where it's hard to tell the difference between what they're using for what was machine translated and what a person actually translated.
But because you've had yours translated now, right, for Japan, that they're done,
Correct.
right? The listening's done. Have you had them double checked though, like by a human, by a Japanese actual native person to get them double checked?
Yeah, I probably should.
You should.
I'm putting all of my faith in sort of Amazon's ability to do that, which is a mistake. I think we did. Now that I think the same people that did the translation of our seller support emails actually did look at the listings and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But if anyone who's here, you speak Japanese or read Japanese and you want to look at our listing, feel free, hit me up on Messenger or Facebook and tell me if it's completely like messed up,
Yeah.
because I will never know.
Yeah, because
I'll just be like,
the reason why is because I know another seller who's in the Facebook group as well. And she's just started, just starting to launch now in Japan as well. She does well in the US. She's pretty much similar situation to you. And yeah, I double checked her listens that had pretty much been done by Amazon as well. And yeah, they were pretty weird. They weren't very like native at all. And it was just pretty much like a Google Translate kind of a translation. So it kind of made
yeah,
sense, but it was still strange at the end of the day. So
sure.
she has a Japanese VA service and they help like fix things up and things like that. So yeah.
Well, note to self: have double check our
Just
stuff.
double check it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
that's good advice.
And so has there any, because that's one of the main things that people are worried about is obviously the whole language barrier, right? Of jumping into Japan.
Right.
Because most people are thinking about it don't speak Japanese, but obviously, yeah, there's like those kind of translation services, and with the bigger sellers, you've got Amazon and things like that. But can you think of any other, I guess, problems that people might run into when they're thinking about
Yeah,
jumping over? Or
for sure. I think part of it is still also connected to the language barrier, and that is also that keyword research.
yeah,
Because if your keywords are in Japanese,
foreign
how do
language.
you know? Yeah, like how do you know if it's, like, should this go in my back end search
Yeah,
term? Should this be in my, so that piece of it is still, I'm still trying to figure out the best path forward for that. And it's probably going to be working with a native speaker and sort of like help me sort of figure out, because I can look at keyword data.
yeah,
Well, kind of look at keyword data. Like there's not, as you well know, not that many any tools that really help Japanese Amazon sellers that are out there
yeah,
at a high level. So you're kind of just trusting and looking at the algorithm. Like if you're running sponsored ads, like suggested this, well, what is this? And you're like sticking to Google Translate, and you're like, well, is that a good one? I don't know. Does that really fit? There's that level of confusion around keywords that
yeah,
is really interesting. So I would say that would be a challenge. Outside of that, I mean, customer support for sure can be a challenge. But with that, I've sort of gotten away from using Google Translate for even some of the other European languages.
okay,
It's probably good enough.
yeah,
Although you should have a VA be able to do your customer support in Japan. And that's what we're sort of looking to do
yeah,
here in the near future. So, and as Mitch builds out his massive Amazon Japan services business and has VAs as a part of that, or however he wants to go big, sign me up, because I probably don't.
All right. You'll be the first on the list.
Perfect.
All right. And yeah, so I guess kind of at the end of all of this, like you were talking earlier about, you do coaching and you've got the inner circle, right? Maybe you could tell people a bit more about that, because I'm sure a lot of people watching are probably pretty interested in knowing a bit more and learning more and things like that too. So
yeah, the inner circle is a monthly membership where my business partner Jason and we do a training focus for the entire month. And for example, this month we're talking about Pinterest as a traffic strategy. And how do you build it? How do you think about Pinterest? How does that going to happen? Last month we did Instagram. We talked about how what do you do for Instagram? How do you get to your first 5,000 followers on Instagram? What are some of the ways to think about? And in fact, we're in the process of actually buying someone's business that's focused just on Instagram, and they have like a certain amount of like 160,000 followers, and we're going to buy that directly as their business and then figure out a way to monetize it later, because we're getting it such a deal. Like, it's going to be a pretty cool thing. So there are ways in which you can start to leverage those audiences to then launch products to in the future. But so Inner Circle is really sort of it's a training Facebook group. We do live trainings in there. And then we also are looking to add more like hot seats to where we can help you overcome any sort of like business challenge. Because there's challenges at every level of your business.
Yeah.
And we work with people that are Amazon sellers. We also very often are helping people figure out their branding and figure out their off Amazon strategies as well. So I'm sort of the Amazon guy, and my business partner, Jason, he's the Shopify guy. His entire business is run on Shopify. He has literally like no Amazon sales, which, we talked about me helping him fix. But he has like maybe a top, it ranges between top 500 to top 200 Shopify store in terms of worldwide site traffic.
That's pretty massive, man.
He gets a lot of traffic. And he's very, very niche down. He's like dominating his little corner of the internet.
Yeah.
And so we sort of basically geek out on how do you build a defensible brand in the age of Amazon.
Okay.
And thinking through that process. So that's part of what we do and how we approach Inner Circle. It's like $37 US a month. So it's really, really, really inexpensive. And then you also can jump in there, ask questions. We have people that are beginners who are just sort of trying to figure out their product strategy and where to sort of get started. And then we have multi-million-dollar sellers both on Amazon and on Shopify. So we have coaching students as well. So we also do one-on-one coaching and consulting for people. Okay. And we have one of our coaching students does $4 million a year on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
One of them, and then we have another consulting guy who's actually inside the Inner Circle who does, I think he does like 500,000 a month on his Shopify store.
Oh, okay.
And so, and we help to get them up and launched and doing their thing. And that's where we sort of, we're teachers at heart. Like, I'm a professor, I teach online marketing, but I'm very practical in that. And I like helping people like solve and make strides in their business. So almost as much as I like making money in my own business, I like seeing people succeed in their business. It's more personally gratifying for me.
Yeah.
It gives me more kind of energy. So we've been doing that for the last few years, and it's really started to make a difference for people, and we've really enjoyed the process.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. I'll yeah, for anybody that's interested, I'll leave the link down in the description below. You can check that out. It sounds like a good combination to have the Amazon guy and the Shopify guy combining forces and stuff. So
yeah, we're kind of bringing it from both. And honestly, I'm working to grow our Shopify footprint as well in our off Amazon brand, because that's long-term viability. If you start thinking about branding now and begin to develop that for your business, the multiplier on your business when you go to sell it, even if you're selling on Amazon, is going to be much higher if you have a brand and you have. And typically, the bonus that a buyer or a broker will give you is for a brand bonus. They usually want to see like 30% of your total revenue from your own website. And at that point, they're like, "Oh, you have legitimate brand weight behind you and audience that would be interested." So.
Yeah, because I get that question quite a bit. for people that are just starting is, should I start looking at selling a lot of products in the same niche, in the same category, or should I just look for products that I think that can sell and then just do it that way, and to put a bit more of a scattered approach? And then
Sure.
I usually just say, yeah, you can do both ways. You can make money, but obviously it's more long-term thinking is going the brand route. But if you just want to kind of make money and then see, I'm not sure how long it would last, but you can always go that way as well. So they both work to make money, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it depends on where you're coming from. Like that would be my response. Somebody asks me, be like, okay, so how much money do you have right now? And they're like, I need to make cash. Then I would say you go and you be the best arbitrage wholesaler that you possibly can be, and you make as much money as you can, but don't spend that money. Reinvest that money and start looking at the highest performing products that you sell. Because the nice thing about selling stuff, a lot of different products and a lot of different categories, is it gives you a pretty wide range view of the different demand that's out there, the different competitors that are out there. So you have a good sense of that. So pick like the top, 20% of your catalog that's doing well, and see if there's opportunity for you to branch out, to do some private label, to do some brand building off of that, and then take the money that you're making, instead of buying, a Ferrari, which is a complete waste of cash, go in and reinvest that into your business and launch an actual brand with it. And then you're funding it. Because if you kind of go into the niche, now you might be able to luck into it and be like, oh, yeah, I found a product that's really, really good, and there's complementary products I can build a brand around, and you've already like dove down and you're headed down that road, then keep going, because that is the right choice. But oftentimes you have to, you got to fund that thing, right? Like you got to pay for inventory, you got to pay for brand growth. Branding isn't just going to happen automatically. You have to actually be able to like grow that audience, and that takes time and cash and money and focus. What I would recommend is that you do end up mastering one of those kind of paths. Like don't try to do them both at the same time, and that's true in general in business. Like it's easy, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Oh, spirits me. I get too sidetracked with so many little things.
I know.
I think focus on one thing. So
like it's shiny object syndrome. In fact, Jason, my business partner, and I, we just did like this YouTube video on shiny object syndrome, ways that you kind of like avoid it and can insulate yourself. But that is definitely all about focus. And I would say, like, if you were to ask me what's one thing that people should, take away, or one thing to keep in mind or tip to do well on Amazon, and it's really one, I still think it's a good opportunity, right? People are like, is it oversaturated, blah blah blah. It's a real business now. It's not like a get rich quick thing where you just go like, I post a few products, now I'm living on a beach in Thailand. Like that did happen, and there were those stories, and they still can sort of happen today.
People are still trying to push them as much as they can on YouTube.
I know, and it's completely stupid, and it's not true. Now Amazon is a real business that you have to commit to, and you have to develop your skill sets on. And if you want to, the problem with get rich quick is it usually results in get poor quick too, right? Like I'd rather prefer get rich slow and keep my money for the long term, because I've mastered the skill sets and the mindset and the business acumen to acquire that. Nobody can take that away from you. If you're just using hacks all the time, the second that loophole is closed, you're done. So you need to get out of that mindset. So I tell people it is competitive, but that's good, because that raises the bar of entry. And the opportunities might be fewer, but when you find them, you can really sort of leverage them and go deep. So I would say that be disciplined in your approach. And I would also say to build in sort of repeatable systems as quickly as you can. And what I mean by that is begin to systemize your business quickly. So product research shouldn't be like this scattered approach, you doing a bunch of different things. You develop a system, document that system, and follow it like your life depended on it. Like, it's like, if like, this is my 5-point checklist I do for product research, you're just doing that. And like every day on your phone, you carving out time to do product research, and you're following your system. And if you learn something new and needs to be adjusted, you learn maybe some other person, you pick up a product research tip and it's working, adjust your system. But make sure you're being disciplined in the things that move the needle and not being scattered.
You end up going down crazy
Yeah,
holes and stuff.
you're never going to get to where you want to go with it, because really it comes down to finding the right product opportunity and mastering the sourcing and inventory management piece of it, because that's also part of it. And then it's your keyword and your marketing and your skill set around that that's really going to require you to do that. And if you're just straight up wholesaling or you're straight up doing arbitrage, then really it's all product strategy, because the pricing and stuff, that's all just going to happen based on the flow of traffic to Amazon.
Yeah.
But once you start to move away from that, you have to acquire new skill sets. You have to get good at negotiating pricing with manufacturers. You got to get good at finding the right manufacturer. You got to get good at supply chain management and inventory management. And when do you reorder? And then you got to get good at like your marketing. And are you running sponsored ads? Are you going to run other ads? Are you running traffic from off of Amazon? There's all these different pieces that you have to start to have knowledge around. And whether or not you decide to gain mastery in them or not is not important, because you start to get to scale, you hire that stuff out.
Yeah.
But you still have to be thinking about your business in a way that's systemized. And if you do that, the quicker you do that, the more efficient you're going to be and the faster you're going to go in scaling.
Well, there you go, Ron. So yeah, try and keep things simple, right? And systemize. And yeah, it's not easy, okay? A lot of people think you just get a product and put it on. There's a lot of skills that you have to learn. And you're always continually learning, right? There's always something.
You're always continuing. Well, so because here's the other challenging piece of that once you figure something out, the game changes.
Yeah, that's
right?
So true.
So you always are constantly learning, and you're always kind of pushing the envelope. But at the same time, you have to balance out your envelope and shiny object with the grounded reality of, like, if I want to move my business forward, these are like the 3 or 4 things that I have to do on a daily basis in order to see success.
Yeah.
And then you just put the blinders on and you get those things done and you execute on them, and you're going to start to see results. The other thing is that don't be so obsessed with short-term thinking. Put the long-term in mind. You're always going to like overestimate what you can get done in like a month or 2 months or 6 months, but you're going to underestimate what you can do in 3 years.
That's so true. It is very true. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on, man. I think people are going to find a lot of value out of this this interview. Kyle's in the Facebook group. He's a very active member in there. Thanks very much for that, by the way. So it's always nice to see
Absolutely.
you all over the show. And I'll leave all the links down in the description below. And thanks a lot, man. See ya.
You're welcome, man. Take care.
Cheers.